Hello and welcome to the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week number 49 with me, Craig Barton. Now, over the last few years I've been fortunate enough to have some absolutely lovely top set classes. But I've noticed a common thread going through these top set classes that many of the students in there are very good at practicing specific skills and demonstrating knowledge of specific skills. So, for example, if you give them a question on Pythagoras, they'll bang it out, no problem. If you give them a circle theorem question, not a problem. Give them one on angle facts, yep, easy money. Sine and cosine rule, done it. But as soon as you give them some kind of question that bundles these skills together, and these perhaps in an unfamiliar setting, maybe in context, or maybe it just doesn't explicitly say, use Pythagoras for this, use sine and cosine rule for this, students tend to come unstuck. And this tends to happen, I find, towards the end of year 10 and in the early stages of year 11. And this is danger zone, really, because this is when students are about to, certainly in the UK anyway, are about to sit their GCSE exam. And I've had a lot of these top set kids over the last couple of years also go on to do the AQA level 2 in further mathematics, which I'm an absolutely huge fan of. And that's a very demanding exam that really kind of puts the skills of these students to the test in the sense of can they figure out what skill they need to answer a specific question, and more importantly than that, can they combine several skill sets together. And I found that if I spring these kind of exam questions on the kids without any preparation, if they haven't seen them before, they really do come unstuck and it can really knock their confidence. So I'm always on the lookout for resources that can develop these skill sets over time. And this one here, Sangaku, is absolutely wonderful. It's been uploaded by Dan Walker, who's one of my favourite resource authors on TES. And as Dan says here, Sangaku, also known as Japanese temple problems, are challenging geometrical puzzles. And boy oh boy, they are challenging. Let's take a look at some of them here and let's have a think how we might use them in the lesson. The resource itself consists of two PowerPoint files. There's also a GSP, a Geometry Sketchpad file here. I don't actually have it installed on this computer here, so I can't look at that. But you can build the same thing on GeoGebra or Autograph or whatever else you have. So the two PowerPoint files, there's a teacher version and a pupil version, and thank God there's a teacher version because luckily that contains the answers. So let's have a look here. You get a little bit of a historical background, and then you get a little selection of these problems. And those of you familiar with the UK Maths Challenge or the Olympiad or the Kangaroo Papers will notice that this is quite a common way that they like to ask questions. And those of you who've done the AQA Further Maths Level 2 certificate will know that these kind of geometrical based questions with links to algebra are sneaking in there as well. So let's have a look at one of the problems. Here's one here. The larger circles have a radius of 10. What's the radius of the smaller circle? And here, this is the teacher version, so you can see the solution here. So you know that length must be 10. You know that length must be 10. That's got to be 10 take x. But there's no mention of putting x in there or anything like that. Students have got to be good enough to know that. And that forms a quadratic equation, and you get it down to x equals 2.5. But what's better than that is once they've done one number example, they then are challenged to generalise what's the relationship between the radius of the larger and smaller circles. And that comes down to an absolutely beautiful conclusion that B is equal to 4 lots of A. And there's loads of these, and there's a link to the GSP file on this particular one, so you can really emphasise to the kids the generalisation. Now, I'm going to use this with my Year 11s. I've got a top set Year 11 this year. But I think that for this first example, we're going to have to go through it together. I think I'm going to get the kids into groups of maybe 2 to 4, something like that. And I can give them a few minutes just to have a look at this first one. And I'll just show you the student version here so you can see. Student version's the same as the teacher version, but it's it has no kind of marking on it. So I'm going to give them the question in its blank form. And I'm going to get them just to, in the next few minutes, mark on whatever they know. And I'm going to really emphasise that they must justify anything they write down. Anything they don't know, I'm going to emphasise or hint that perhaps they want to call it a letter. Can they form any kind of relationships? Can they write down any math skills that they think are going to come into play? And really try and tease it out of them. And only when I'm comfortable that they all understand how to form the answer to this first one, am I going to unleash them on some of these other questions. And if you just look at some of these questions here. So you've seen a few sneak previews of those ones. Find the length of the sides of the square. But look at some of these that come into play. Absolutely beautiful. Find the radius of that circle. And that's all the information the kids get given. It's worth doing with staff as well, this, because it is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Now, things like this, you've got to be careful sometimes because, as you'll all know, maths is such a confidence-based subject, and once your confidence goes, even with the brightest students, it's a real struggle to get it back. But if you've got the class who are really up for a challenge and you can present it in a way that this is something completely out of the ordinary and we're just going to give it our best shot, this can really hammer home some key skills. You've got simultaneous equations, you've got quadratic equations, you've got Pythagoras, you've got circle theorems, you've got constructions in there. But crucially, those skills aren't used isolated; they're brought together, and that's going to be the key, I think, to this new GCSE. It's going to be the key to the more challenging GCSE questions, and certainly it's going to be the key to A-level mathematics in the future. So what a wonderful resource this is, but yeah, use it carefully, use it sparingly. It could well bring about some tears, possibly from staff and students, because there's some absolute nightmare questions in here, but there's some absolutely lovely ones. And then what about that for a little challenge from Dan at the end? Think those were tough. Could you design a Sangaku of your own? Some kids will absolutely thrive upon these challenges. So there it is. A bit of a strange resource, this one, but I couldn't resist putting it into the mix. So hope you like that, and if you use it, why not share your thoughts on it in the comments section, and I'll be back with a fresh, brand new resource of the week next week. Take care, and bye for now.